I guess we could talk about horror films
Should we get
exclusively.
into Halloween?
Yeah. Only horror movies today. Only horror movies.
Only horror, yeah. Well, first of all, I tried to drinking a yerba mate, and it's the red one. And I was like, oh, this will be good. This will be like I'm drinking blood or something, but it's like, just didn't work out, you know.
It just kind of looks like a pleasant drink.
Yeah, it just looks like a nice, refreshing drink. Yeah, not blood.
Yeah.
Should have known that they would use, all natural and organic stuff, so there's not going to be artificial
like a
red.
Monster or something like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, I started buying the sparkling yerb.
How are those? I've never tried those.
I mean, they're good. They're like the yerb version of LaCroix, pretty much, but they're pretty good. I want to like tone it down with the other ones, not only because they're strong as shit, but because the sugar ratio scares me.
Whoa! Yeah, it is 27 grams of added sugars.
Yeah, because I'll drink those and I'll be like, oh my God, what room do I have for sugar the rest of the day?
But it's just the sugar makes it taste so delicious.
Yeah. I thought when you pulled that glass up, it was like, oh, wow, John's drinking a nice whiskey sour or something like that. Yeah. But you were like, oh, could be a horror themed drink.
Yeah, but it didn't work out. But I could have done like a vampire's kiss or something. But we'll save that for next year.
Is that a Bloody Mary drink?
No, it's like it's just like gin and raspberry liqueur. It's like a martini, but it just like looks red and it has raspberry flavoring. Yeah.
When I worked at Binny's, I was very lost when people would ask for different liqueurs. That's what I realized I know the least of, you know?
I really don't. Yeah, I hardly know anything about what all like the names of things are. And
well, because people go so hard with their drinks, man. They fucking like if they're mixing like vermouth and then other liqueurs and then like other drinks.
Yeah. Well, anyway, it's just a yerba mate. It's not a cocktail.
Anyway, we drink yerba mate.
Yes. So yeah, how would you like to get started, Luke? I'll
start with the first of the month. I'll also mention that I watched Rosemary's Baby last month.
Nice.
And I'll do that one quickly, but like one I forgot, Rosemary's Baby is like pretty long, and but also like I would say as attributed to like last movie scenes, it's definitely up there. As like spoilers, as she like discovers the whole devil cult and that her baby's the devil, and then there's all the anxiety revolving everyone around her, controlling her and that sort of thing, but then her eventually accepting that actually as her baby despite it being Satan's child. And then the slow zoom out from the window back, like it's kind of bookended with that apartment complex,
Mm-hmm.
There's something really creepy about the bookend of like zooming into that apartment and then zooming out after she like accepts the baby. I just like the ending of Rosemary's Baby is on point, essentially, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, that's so good too. And just like the horror that she has seeing the baby and you never actually see like what it looks like. That ending.
Oh yeah, you
so
don't.
Good.
You see the cradle and the doctor, whatever that guy's name is, like, it's your baby. Like, it kind of says something like that.
And then just everyone, I don't know, I always think it's funny for some reason, but when they just go around the room and everyone's like, hail Satan, hail Satan.
Right.
Yeah.
It manages to be like darker than any movie, but also like it's funny at the same time. Like Cassavetes in the movie all like really makes me laugh a lot, just because I don't know, he's really good at playing a blatant like piece of shit, you know. As if anyone's seen any of his like directed movies, you'll see especially too, like he's like all those guys in the Cassavetes crew are good at just playing degenerates, like that sort of thing. So he and just works exceptionally well.
And all the side characters too, like living in the building, they're all like really goofy and wacky type of people.
Like the Cassavetes or whatever, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, just nice. Thought that's when I watched like kind of before October season. So I just thought I'd bring that up briefly because I know it's a favorite of yours as well.
Yes. I think that would have been something that I would watch this month, but I just got the Criterion of it in like July, so I want to give some more like breathing room in between watches. But yeah, that's
well speaking of like Criterion sales, like there was that flash sale recently, and I did not buy anything because I really thought about it, and I was like, okay, have you watched everything you've bought yet? And I'm like, no, you haven't. Don't buy anything else.
Yeah.
I'm like De Niro and Goodfellas. You don't buy anything.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I realized there's still like obviously a ton I want to buy, but yeah, I had that self-reflection too of like, okay, when I get these, how, do I watch them right away? Like I'm excited to get them, but then do I like take advantage of them?
What's the timetable till you watch those? Exactly.
Yeah. Because I'm still thinking like, oh, okay, even if I watched this one movie I got, but I didn't watch any of the supplemental stuff to it too, which I want to get to at some point.
That into even.
Yeah. So it's like I got to spend the time like really watching everything that I can, getting everything I can out of the ones I already have before I keep piling them up. Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess I'm thinking I should watch try to watch as many as I can before that November Barnes sale, because I don't want to like miss out on the November Barnes sale, that comes like, it's a yearly thing. So it'd be kind of sad not to buy anything from it. So I'm going to try to give my Criterion collection some love,
Nice. Yeah.
This November.
Yeah, that's a good plan. So I'm trying to do 31 like Halloween movies in 31 days. Right now I'm at 20, and this is October 28th.
You've got 4 days left.
Yeah. So yeah, I'll go through those, but there's some that I probably will have much less to say about. But the first one that I watched is Event Horizon, which isn't like I guess I would call it a straightforward horror movie. It's weird because it's like seems just like a space movie. I actually wasn't sure how much like horror would have to do with it until I watched it.
Doesn't Paul W.S. Anderson kind of like go in that like, I don't know, that like it's like a horror universe sort of, not necessarily a horror story?
Yeah.
I don't know.
He's done like I mean the Resident Evil movies and Alien vs Predator, so yeah, it's definitely this is definitely up his alley. But Event Horizon is a very enjoyable movie. It's one that, like some of the Resident Evil movies, it's like pretty bad in a lot of spots, but in those ways that it's bad, it's like fun and enjoyable and ridiculous. And so yeah, like Event Horizon is essentially Alien meets The Shining in a way, and that may seem weird, but I think if you see it, you'll totally get because actually, I mean, I feel like The Shining is actually, now that I think about it, like a blatant inspiration, because this research team goes out to find this like abandoned, or this ship that has sort of been drifting off into space with no sign of life for a while, and they get to the ship, and then people start acting strangely, and strange things start to happen, and I think that's what The Shining can tie into it. And there's also a scene that I want to bring up. This isn't really spoiling anything, but they recreate the scene where blood is pouring out of the elevators in The Shining. Yeah. They do a scene exactly like that in this on the spaceship, and it's it's clearly an homage to that.
Right. Yeah, it's very fresh in my mind still, is that the elevator blood blood scene. Yeah, that like the third act one, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, where like Shelley Duvall sees it.
Yep,
that part is fucking terrifying.
Yeah. So in Event Horizon they sort of recreate that. But yeah, it's not like an amazing movie, but for sure a really fun horror movie to watch. Yeah,
it's definitely been on my list for a while. I think mainly because of Sam Neill and just hearing good things about it. Like I've always known that to be a big like Sam Neill movie.
Yeah, no, he's great in it. Has a really good cast. Yeah, Lawrence Fishburne too.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so that was the first one I did this month.
First of 31.
Yeah.
Okay. So my next one is a rewatch of a very well-known movie. October 2nd, I was like ready to get on this horror binge of mine, and I rewatched Psycho, nice. Just for for the same reason anyone rewatches Psycho. I mean, because you want to, want to do it again, and I had a good time at this point. Like I've seen this movie so much that, I guess a lot of the goosebumps that usually comes with it has kind of flown away. And like, especially on rewatch, you do realize like when you know everything that's about to happen, it takes the magic away, because the movie like it relies heavily on just kind of like withholding information, as that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So really all I really do is I just admire how I don't know how the movie handles that side to this story so well, on just misdirecting the audience and like building towards those big scares and big twists, and it's just always fun, and it'll it's always just a fun road to go down, because like it doesn't get old that it does start as like a woman stealing money, and it's just her paranoia in her head, and then ends up being something completely different. It's really like one of the most ballsy plot turns in film history. And maybe we're desensitized to it now because we all are in on it, and we know about it, and that's why we watch it. But it still is just such an admirable turn for a movie to do that. And it's unprecedented stuff. It's incomparable.
It broke new ground.
Yeah, exactly.
That is probably one I gotta watch in the next few days before Halloween.
Yeah, it's just one you gotta throw on. It's easy. You can throw it on during the day. You can it's just fun.
Yeah. Okay, the next one for me was also right now there's just like a million crows flying over my head.
Yeah,
spooky.
As if called by Hitchcock himself.
Yeah. Okay, so the next one that I watched is Unfriended.
Dark Web, yeah. I watched this
more recent one.
Halloween a couple years ago. I watched that. Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah. I wasn't as into it. And I don't know why. I think it was just sort of like a feeling I had. I got really annoyed by the characters like partway through, and to me it felt like really long. but at the same time, I really liked that whole concept of it all. And for a movie that's all like it all takes place just on like the computer screen, I feel like it did like
the best.
That was really good. Like, holy shit.
I know, it's actually really cool.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah. So there were definitely like things I liked about it, but I found myself at points just getting like really annoyed with the characters, and I don't always like think about this too much because it doesn't always matter, but like I felt just like random like plot holes that were just bugging me that I couldn't stop thinking about. But I'd still say that this is like Event Horizon. This is also like a really enjoyable watch overall. That
yeah,
and it's something different too. You know, it's all just on the computer, and I think it's a lot of millennial
clever
concept
stuff. That's sure, a lot of millennial vibe, like
yeah,
that sort of thing. But I thought like I was surprised that I like didn't like dislike it more, and like that I didn't have that many quarrels with it. Like when I was watching it, I mostly had like a good time, and like the fact that it really like encaptured me, and it's all just like the FaceTiming thing, and you know, there's actually like the amount of tremendous tension that it builds throughout. I was like, wow, like this is crazy. Yeah. That it manages to be a slasher film.
Yeah.
But like I think on concept, if I like heard the concept, you know, like just written down somewhere, I'd be like, fuck that. That's Hitchcock would be ashamed or something like that.
He's rolling in his grave. Yeah.
You're the death of cinema, you guys. But it's pretty good.
That's actually a good point.
I actually like it. Yeah. I think there's multiple, aren't there?
There might be. Maybe I've just seen the first one.
I think like the second one was like
big
Dark Web.
Unfriended Dark Web. That's 2018.
So you saw the 2014 one.
Yeah, I haven't seen the sequel.
When Dark Web came out, I remember because like 2018 and 2019, I was just so obsessed with like Letterboxd and like shit like that and just movies in general. And so I just remember everyone logging on Unfriended Dark Web, that sort of thing. Yeah.
And then you had to get in on the action. Yeah.
Yeah, but I didn't, because I didn't see the sequel, but I can because I've seen the first one now at least.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember those years being way too in tune with like what was being watched by people on Letterboxd and what I followed and stuff. It's kind of the way I am with like Instagram now. I was like like that with Letterboxd somehow, you know, and I would like go down my diary and see what I watched in the past month. And if it like was, I was like, oh, this is not long enough. I've had to scroll only like a couple times in order to get, you know, and I wanted it to be longer and longer. And I would get like proud if I would go through a few months and I'd be like, oh my God, look at all those,
what
all
a run.
those movies. Yeah. What a run. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's how you would judge how good your past few months have been. Your Letterboxd diary. Yeah. Well, yeah, that's
Unfriended, the first one. All right, so the next thing I'm going to talk about is a horror trilogy. And a few are a rewatch, and one is a new watch. I'm watching the horror trilogy, the Daniel Craig James Bond horror trilogy, which, in my opinion, is a horror trilogy. Well, especially the new one is a horror movie to me because, like Christoph Waltz, like the villains, the way they're portrayed, like Christoph Waltz has his like eye taken out, like that's fucking freaky, and Rami Malek is like, I mean, what else is he supposed to be except a fucking creep in the new James Bond movie?
Yeah. And also in the beginning when, you know, spoilers somewhat not really spoilers at all for No Time to Die, but in the beginning when Rami Malek is first there and he has that mask on too.
Oh yeah, very creepy mask. Yeah, with
The
his
intro
like
is very
burnt
horror-like.
skin, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And on rewatch, I just had some very intense moments in Skyfall when what's his name would be on screen when Bardem, yeah, he was very intense of a villain in Skyfall. Yeah, I guess that's my reasoning for this horror trilogy to be what it is, a horror trilogy, because the villains are usually play off on the very like on the more terrifying dark side, channeling that Heath Ledger Joker vibe, you know, that sort of thing.
Yeah, totally.
Well, it works with this trilogy. Like, I think like the dark villains especially work because like not only is the trilogy going for more realism, and it has all that the fancy side, but then it like, I don't know, all the villains come out and it really like hits you in the head. Like when Bardem does that long walk down the like hallway to when he first meets Daniel Craig, and in Skyfall, like that scene is really an eye opener. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I guess so. I obviously I rewatched all of those for the new one, and I watched them all with my dad. And I know you're very, very in tune with Bond and stuff, but basically I came away with that. I definitely think Skyfall is my favorite of the Craig Bonds. And I know it's like the argument is usually like, I like Casino Royale more. It's like, I like Skyfall. And that's how it goes, you know, over and over again. And I think people like Casino Royale, the ones who like Casino Royale more, mainly like it because of Vesper Lind. That's what it seems like to me. Is like the ones who like think Vesper Lind is one of the best characters in the trilogy, which she is, you know, if that's like their preference, that they go for Casino Royale. Because that third act with Vesper Lind and Casino Royale does get like, you are just kind of like, damn, this is so good. Like this is taking Bond movies to another level, like this part of it. Yeah. But I guess Skyfall for me, while I think Casino Royale is awesome, Skyfall like had this, not only was it paced just incredibly well, but like all the like it like the cinematography is so great in it, like it's just so breathtaking throughout. And then when Bardem comes in and he ends up, and like just him as a villain, and just like the backstory for his character, it really takes it up a notch even more, and it kind of just solidified it. I was like, okay, I definitely think I like Skyfall more than Casino Royale, just for that, because the stakes just go to another level in Skyfall for me.
Oh, they do, yeah. I used to go back and forth between Skyfall and Casino Royale, but I mean, last year or in the end of 2019, I started watching through all the Bond movies to get ready for the new one because it was supposed to come out early 2020.
Right.
So yeah, I like got prepared early, and then after watching Skyfall that time, I was like, this is like the best. You can't top Skyfall, really.
Yeah, it's like ridiculously good.
James Bond movies altogether, almost. You know, it's
right.
Oh yeah, it's so good. And yeah, Casino Royale is still up there, like right after it for me. But yeah.
Yeah, and I was thinking to a degree we're like spoiled by this Bond trilogy because people have like so many quarrels with like Spectre, for instance, when Spectre has like so many amazing things in it that like have never been done in a Bond movie, like where there's certain just shots and like scenes where you're like, that was fucking amazing, like, you know, because all these new Bond movies really, they just take full advantage of like modern filmmaking and modern cameras and stuff, like the No Time to Die, like every fucking frame was like gorgeous in No Time to Die, which is and every like place you're at is so cool. And so they're just that's just the way to do it. Like they're taking full advantage of modern filmmaking, what they can do to make not only not only is Daniel Craig an amazing Bond, but like the filmmaking that's at work is just on, and it's like it's never been done before in like Bond movies, just because of what we're capable of now. With like they're like even though I'm not as into like Rami Malek in it, like the scene, like just the like sets that they chose for like the showdown with Rami Malek, I was like, this is fucking awesome. Like
and when Bond goes up to like that room with him too, and he's like holding
he's got like 5 guns on him, and then his like he's got the daughter there, and then they're outside in that pool like shooting each other, and well, and then there's in the final like act, they kind of, I mean, everyone I think saw this, they do the like logo, the Bond logo, as he's like coming around the corner. Well, you know how he's just like on his killing prowl, basically, like going through hallways killing everyone inside. He just turns a corner and goes like, and I'm like, oh, there it is. I'm like, yes.
The money shot.
Yeah, exactly, the money shot. What was also cool is that scene in the forest where all those like big SUVs just suddenly pop out of nowhere.
That was really cool.
Somehow they just pop out of nowhere, and he's just like, and then he just starts shooting at them and shit. It's just, it's so cool.
I was also thinking one of my favorite scenes in Spectre is the Dia de los Muertos.
The opening segment is fantastic.
So there you go. That also ties into Halloween with
right. It does. That is definitely the most. I didn't even bring that up, and that was my strongest point I could have had. Fuck, man, those are good. It was like a 3-hour. What's it, like 3 hours? The new one, No Time to Die, like the longest one, right?
240 something. Yeah.
And I went to the theater for that, and it did not feel like a 3-hour movie. It went by so quick.
I feel
because it was nonstop. It was just nonstop.
It's one of those things. Every scene, there's like something new that's keeping me like engaged. It just I feel like it moves along really well. I like No Time to Die a lot.
They're so good. Oh, and then the Ana de Armas like section is just, I mean, everyone's raving about that for good reason too, because she just pops in and is like, all right, I'm stealing the show real quick here.
For real.
Like,
Like, I thought she was gonna have a bigger like role, like a more prominent role.
Not just one. That was kind of surprising.
But even
like,
so,
knowing
she was still great in that
movies,
little time.
She would have, knowing those movies though, they would have like had to like, Bond would have had to like fuck her later or something, and then it would mess things up with like the other girl who's like the real main point of it. So they're like, let's get rid of her. Because this guy fucks everything.
And I think pre Daniel Craig Bond movies, there would have been a sex scene with both Ana de Armas and the new 007 Bond. They were like as many women as we can get for
for sure. Maybe it's like the post PC Bond movie. That's why he's only with one girl in this movie, because it's not like they hold back in the other Bonds with him and the women. He's in like, they're trying to call back to the Connery ones where like, he's sleeping with all the women he meets.
There's like 5 women in the movies, and then he sleeps with every single one of them. Each one more beautiful than the next and more exotic. And then at the end, there's one of them that wants to like stay with him or whatever, and it's like, oh, of course, even though he's just been sleeping around.
But like when him and Ana de Armas went on that killing spree, and then like
yeah.
Daniel Craig's like he's like walking out, like he walks outside like with the machine gun. He's just like shooting up in the buildings and shit. I was like, this is fucking awesome, and I'm like, I'm gonna miss this guy so much as Bond, because on top of the fact that like the filmmakers here are at the top of their game. Every time Craig is doing all the stuff on screen, all the stunts, just walking around with a gun, he just looks so dope. And like when he does that 360 spin shoot thing that he does all the time in the movies, I'm like, yes.
There it is.
Yeah. Yeah, those are the Bonds.
The Bonds. All right. Next one for me is another. Well, I guess there's 4 of these, but I've been meaning to watch all of them. Only got to one so far. But Scream. Watched very early in October, and
for the canceled Cinebums episode.
Yes,
canceled Cinebums revisit.
Scream episode that didn't happen, but still would have watched it anyway. And I mean, to give a little backstory, we in high school we had our Screamathon group where we only actually met up one time to watch movies, but I don't know if you made it to the one time. I don't think I went,
which is kind of I assume I had something else going on, because that would have been totally my thing to go to.
Yeah. But we watched all the Scream movies in one.
Well, what was funny about it too is because I remember showing, I think like Rick, Rooney, and maybe others those movies, because I just had the box set, and then Rick got really into them, and then he was the one who organized the Screamathon.
Yeah. I know I had only seen the first 2 before we did that, and then we watched all of them. But even since then, I've always been a big fan of the Scream franchise. And I like, when I think back, I feel like the second one's my favorite one, but again, it's been a little bit since I watched that one. But Scream, the original Scream, I really love. Great slasher movie, great like meta movie too. It's hard to because I've heard some people before who think that like Scream is unintentionally bad at parts, and I see, and it's quite the opposite. See it that way. Everything is it's very self-aware, and that's the whole
perfect
point. Yeah. like Wes Craven is almost making fun of like
for
horror movie fans in a way. And horror movies in general. So it's, to me, they're like comedy, they're comedy horror, not just to me, to most people, but
right.
But I still hopefully will watch at least Scream 2 before the end of the month, but Scream 1 is just a classic. It's a classic.
Yeah, for sure. Scream 1 mainly because that one will always be my favorite, because the end scene with Billy and Stu is just so good that I'm always like, all right, this is my favorite one. It really, it's one of those where I start sweating during it because it's so intense, and at the same time I'm just I'm laughing a lot. I'm like, getting a kick of how well written it is, and it's like, I don't know, one of the most intense like scenes of like villains explaining why they're doing this probably ever. And every single Scream movie after that kind of tries to do, they have that exact thing. Like, the second one, it's like Timothy Olyphant and, what's her name? Laurie Metcalf.
Laurie Metcalf
plays like Billy's mom. So they do like the exact same thing. And every single one has their villain who's like, do you want, like in the second one, Laurie Metcalf's like, do you want to know why I killed my Billy, or like that, like all that stuff. It's just, it's so good.
Yeah, I love the Scream 2. I love Laurie Metcalf in the end when it's revealed. That's because she's just like so funny doing her big monologue too, and
right. Well, she's so crazy.
yeah, really insane. Yeah, and that she's a great person to have in this franchise because she has like a comedy type background too. At least doing like comedy shows or whatever.
What was she on though? I actually don't know that.
Well, she was on Roseanne.
Okay, like a sitcom actress.
So yeah, like comedy sitcom, and I don't know if she's actually done like. Oh, she's also in Norm Macdonald's show from like the early 2000s.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Anyway, the Scream movies though, it's essential viewing for October. Yeah,
and they are fun to rattle off one after the other because they are so formulaic and play off the fact that they're formulaic. They make it more fun. Mm-hmm. And actually when I went to the theater to see a movie that I will talk about later, there was the Scream 5 trailer.
Oh, yeah.
And I mean, like, I'm excited because I love these movies. I don't think it'll be like great or anything, but just the fact that like you see Neve Campbell and David Arquette like calls her and she's like, Dewey, it's happening again. And it's just like all the same people. And it's like, wow, I just love that they're doing it again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I don't know if it's Wes Craven though.
No, he died.
All right.
So that's not. So that tells you, yeah. I don't know if the fourth one was. No, the fourth one he had to be a part of that.
It was him, yeah, and I liked the fourth one.
Me
fourth
too.
Was good. Yeah, the fourth one was one that came out like in high school, and I remember watching it with just like a bunch of people, and like one of my friends ended up like calling people, like trying to do the Scream thing like right after. It's one of those fun high school like prank call nights, that sort of thing.
Oh yeah.
But also super weird because he was calling like girls in his grade and going like, I'm here, I'm in the back. And she's like, the girl's just like, what?
It doesn't work the same in real life as in the movie. Yeah.
No, apparently not.
Yeah, Scream 4 is also a good one. The third one I think is the only one that I don't enjoy.
It's kind of iffy,
really as much. Yeah, but the rest of them very good.
All right. So my next horror movie, this is an easy one because I need no explanation for it. It is, and you've seen it too. It is the Michael Powell 1960 film Peeping Tom.
Yes.
Which I think was on your horror bender last year, and I remembered. And I mean, I'm familiar with Michael Powell mainly for being the co-director of The Red Shoes, which is like the Powell and Pressburger duo, which is an amazing film. And Peeping Tom, you could definitely tell it has like, I don't know, that similar dreamlike vision to it. And so that part I really liked. Yeah, I thought Peeping Tom was really good. And it definitely had one of those like, those just dreamlike endings that like would be in something like a Lynch or something, something like that. Would it like felt like it's inspiring Lynch and those types of horror directors, and yeah, it was really good.
Yeah, I really love this one. I might have to rewatch this one again too.
Yeah, I almost rewatched Carnival of Souls. Well, like it's there. I could rewatch it because there's this like section on HBO Max called like Not for Family Frights or something like that. So there's just all these like horror films there, and one of them is Carnival of Souls, and
yeah, that one I'm gonna watch too before Halloween.
Good selection there.
That's got to be a mainstay for me. Yeah. Nice. All right, Peeping Tom. All right, my next one is The Shining.
All right, that works.
Which again was one
we can talk about it now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But man, The Shining.
Yeah, I mean, I was happy I was able to watch it fully because it was really frustrating that my internet wasn't working for me and we weren't able to do the episode. I realized it was apparently this is what sucks about like, this is a really minor problem, but since I live at home, you know, I don't know everything about how stuff works. So I was telling my parents, I'm like, the internet isn't working great downstairs. and my dad's like, which internet are you connected to? And I was like, this one. And he's like, no, that's the wrong one. That one doesn't work well in the basement. And I was like, well, I didn't know that for the basement. And so I changed it, and then it worked like, you know, flawlessly after that. But it was a real struggle because it was lagging so much, and I'm just like not getting that, you know, perfect picture. I'm getting a very flawed like image, and the photography in The Shining is so great, so you're like angry, you're like, I can't watch it like this, like not at all. Like if it was like a fucking like rom-com or something like that, maybe I could just sit there and listen to it, but I can't watch like a film with a like fucked lagging image, you know.
No, I hate that so much. Yeah. I even just like if a movie starts buffering like 2 times within like 5 minutes while I'm watching it, I just like move on to something else.
Well, and I was trying to stick with it too because I was hoping it would fix itself, and I really wanted to, you know, do the revisit episode. But it was like there was that first shot where like they get to the hotel, and you know the guy's like walking them through that main like room that becomes Jack's writing room, and like they kind of like track them like sideways across like the whole hotel, and Shelley Duvall's like, what a big place, I could get lost in here. And you know, and it's just like they show you the whole thing, and it's like a great shot, and I'm like, and it was just lagging the whole time, and I was like, this is horrible.
God, yeah, this is a movie where it's just like every frame is a piece of art. It's just
you want it. That's like the way it was extra frustrating. It's one that like really like, it's such a mainstream movie, but it also demands like when you watch it again, you're like, oh shit, like this is like one of the most amazing films, like this is demanding my full attention right now, that sort of thing.
I think I've said this on the podcast before, but I just kind of repeat it because I think it's awesome. But when I had an internship in Denver in like 2015, I saw The Shining at Red Rocks, and
it
was one of the coolest movie viewing experiences I've had. But yeah, it was kind of like it was in October. It was kind of like, or no, it wasn't October. This would have been August. Yeah, but it was still a chilly day. And they showed The Shining, the Simpsons Treehouse of Horror episode on The Shining.
They do it really well. They do The Shining pretty well.
Oh, it's so good. Yeah. And they showed that before the movie, and then they showed the movie, and just really cool, especially knowing that like we're pretty close to the Stanley Hotel where Stephen King was like inspired to write the Shining based off of. That's one of my favorite like memories of seeing a movie ever, is that I got to do that.
Yeah, well, especially since it opens on like a mountainside, and all the trees and stuff, and the footage is so great, and you're kind of on a mountainside with a lot of trees.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like it's so we're more like in the setting as we're watching this. Yeah, it's just such a great movie.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it kind of has that like Twin Peaks vibe of like, here's those trees, overhead shot of the trees.
Yeah.
Scary, I know, right? You know.
Yeah, just the eeriness of it just adds to the whole atmosphere.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
yeah, like even like in just the first like opening scenes, like how it gives off like the vibe that there's so much wrong already, and they haven't gone anywhere. They're not even in the hotel. It's just it does such a good job of being so dark the whole way through, which is apparently why like King doesn't like it because
yeah.
like that's not what he intended. Because like if
Yeah.
you read the book, it's like not as dark as this movie at all, and like Kubrick just had this whole like I thought it's so much darker, and it's kind of what makes it so good.
Have you read the book?
Yeah, I did, and so I mean it's pretty similar, but like there's like actually like a good ending, you know, kind of like a happy ending, and
Oh wow.
it's just not as dark at all. Like it's just not, especially with Jack Nicholson's character, you know, like there is um yeah, like Kubrick has a whole nother like, you know, vision towards the book than what the book actually is. Like he really takes it up and ramps it up a notch, you know, like yeah, it's pretty, so it's cool to see that, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
This is also a movie where there's so many like I feel like stories about the filming of it, like most Kubrick movies, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
You know, I haven't looked enough into this to really have much of an opinion, but just like apparently Shelley Duvall like went through a lot. And it was
like, he was mean to her on set, that sort of thing.
Yeah, pushed really hard to get something out of her character that Kubrick really wanted, which is a bit fucked up.
And then there's that fact that like in the showdown scene in like where she has the bat and stuff like that, and he's like coming towards her, like apparently, you know, like the amount of takes that was done just for that scene alone, it was like just some absurd amount of takes. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And what's also like, I think like Kubrick was known too for like minimal crew, which is pretty crazy. And the thought of that while watching this movie and thinking about how few people are actually at the hotel, you know, like that for the most part, it is just like probably 4 to 5 guys just filming these 3 actors for the most part, and then they bring in all those extras to play like the ghosts, and that's it. But other than that, it does add to how isolated the feel is of this movie, you know, like like that they're just filming these long hallways like over and over again. And you know, there's just all these scares that you forget about. Because it really becomes like a fucked up situation for like the whole second half of the movie, where like Shelley Duvall is not even like she's like avoiding Jack completely, and he's always in his writing area, and like and it takes like a while for her to actually be like, we should leave, you know. So there's a lot of just like, I don't know, like ghost stuff and just weird like visions that the characters have, and or just like a weird interaction between Jack Torrance and his family that I'm like, oh, I completely forgot about that. Fuck it. Yeah, it's a good one. I also relate to the just the very idea of like because like Jack Torrance's character to me comes from, despite like from the beginning he's clearly like he's like a psychopath, like as he's in that job interview, it's like very clear he's like out of his fucking mind already. You know, And then later he's in the car and he's like, there's that drive up scene is hilarious because he's like, Dad, what was what happened on that one frontier or something like that? He's like, they resorted to cannibalism in order to survive. Like that. It's so fucking good. And it's like, hear that? It's fine. He saw it on the television. You know, like nothing's even happened yet, but you can see Jack's just filled with so much, like, I don't know, just evil, you know, weirdly
something's off about him. Yeah,
right, there's something totally off with this guy, and it like makes sense like when like later they're like, oh, he's kind of always been around this hotel and revolves around the hotel and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
But what I was gonna say essentially is I highly relate to someone being like, oh yeah, I'm gonna 3 months of isolation is all I'm looking forward to, so I can I'm working on this new writing project, and isolation is all I need. And then like he gets into it and it's just not going well, so he's going fucking insane because of it. Like he's losing his fucking mind.
Yeah.
Like from day one, yeah.
Yeah. This is also very funny at times too, thanks to Jack Nicholson.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah. Oh, like I was debating at one point. I'm like, what's like the best Jack performance? Like, is it this or is it The Departed? And I was like, I personally feel like I like The Departed more, but this like Shining performance is ridiculously good. You know, like how much how much of the movie he carries. You know, like. Just all of the like insanity. He goes to like such different levels, you know?
Yeah. I thought I was reading something about how originally the studio wanted someone else to be Jack, like a specific person in mind. I can't think of it now, but they thought he would be good because he seems much more like normal and like just everyday guy. And then so seeing him go insane would be, like shocking or whatever. But Kubrick really wanted Jack Nicholson because the studio thought that he was already too like evil and crazy of a character in his own right. And then
right
that would be like overkill. But yeah, no, Kubrick wanted to go with it. And I think that works for what you were saying. Like he already has like that tinge of like evil and he's already like a psychopath.
He's so good.
Well, it's too bad we couldn't do a full episode on Shining, but
we clearly we could.
Yeah, that was my next one.
Okay, so I'm gonna go with I'm gonna do almost the whole Universal horror collection from Criterion. Ooh. That I've been trying to knock down.
Classics.
Because classics. I forget how these are they were made by Universal. Is that what it is that how they're related? They're all made by Universal. Universal Studios, maybe.
Universal horror, that's probably it,
yeah. Either way. So the ones I watched would be The Invisible Man, The Mummy, The Black Cat, The Bride of Frankenstein, and The Raven. Yeah, so I watched almost all of them. I didn't get to the Mexican or Spanish-speaking language Dracula, and I didn't get to the Black Lagoon, but I watched all those other ones. And I mean, it was good because they're all like an hour, maybe an hour and 10 minutes.
Like hour 15, yeah. It's nice.
Yeah, so they're like little, like, I don't know, it's like binging a show. You can just be like, all right, I'm going to watch a few now or something like that. And they're just really easy. And for the most part, all pretty enjoyable. I found The Mummy to be pretty boring and also disappointing because The Mummy wasn't even really a horror film. It was like kind of a melodrama. And so I was kind of like, it's kind of like, what the fuck? You know, like it started off like, you know, good. And like, it's got these like archaeologists or whatever, like digging up mummies and like they have like banter going. And then a mummy kind of rises out of the tomb and they kind of have like, they kind of copy you. Didn't you watch The Invisible Man?
Yeah, I watched that one too.
So they kind of have like the same laugh, like kind of comes on from The Invisible Man as like the mummy's walking around. And I'm like, ooh, that's creepy. And like, oh, that's kind of like The Invisible Man. But it didn't really, I don't know, it didn't, like where it went from there, it got pretty boring from there on out. So I was kind of disappointed in them. I was disappointed in the Mummy from 1932. like come on guys. but
you know,
the invisible what
I was gonna say, speaking of The Invisible Man, I really enjoyed that.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say.
Yeah.
So they got Universal a year later got their shit together and made a very good Invisible Man movie. Yeah, that was really good. I thought like the costumes were really good, and as well as like the laugh was really, really creepy. Yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, The Invisible Man I really liked.
Yeah. These were all kind of like horror movies that were also very light. So that was also what made them pretty watchable for me. Yeah, The Invisible Man is really good, and it is also very different from the recent one. It's a lot more. It's a lot more silly, you know. But and so then the other one I watched was The Black Cat. The Black Cat, which is also very good. What are all these notifications on my computer? And then The Bride of Frankenstein was awesome too. Yeah.
That one I just watched last night. Yeah. That's a good one.
I saw it. Yeah, good one. And they all kind of have Boris Karloff and a lot of Boris Karloff and James Whale going on. Yeah.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Yeah, I think James Whale did both Invisible Man and Bride of Frankenstein.
Yeah. Yeah, he did.
Frankenstein. Yep. Yeah. Yeah, I've liked a lot of the old horror we've watched. Like I thought last year we did like some voodoo one. Cat People was one of them. Yeah, like these like horrors in the 30s.
Was that a couple years ago or was that last year?
Oh, maybe that was a couple years ago. Yeah. That
maybe we did last year.
Yeah, I like those. And,
Cat People and I walked with a zombie one.
That's it. Yeah.
Yeah, those were fucking intense. I walked with a zombie, I remember being really intense. Yeah.
Yeah. And then last year I just really for the first time got more into like the classic Vincent Price movies and really like those too. So yeah, I've definitely gotten more into the classic horrors past few years.
Yeah, me too. All right, that'd be it with those then.
All right. For mine then, I'll go with a movie that is probably not seen by very many people, but it's Tower of Terror. Disney's Tower of Terror.
I've been intrigued to watch that. Yeah, for sure. Wasn't it movie based off a ride?
Yeah, based off the Tower of Terror in Disney World, which one of my favorite rides.
Did they get rid of it?
So in Disneyland, we were just there last year, and it's now Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah, that sucks.
Which the ride is still fun, but it bums me out because I love like the Twilight Zone and the Tower of Terror type.
Right.
thing, which the original is all based around. So that really bums me out, because part of my enjoyment of that is just that whole experience and atmosphere. But yeah, in Disney World, it's still the same. But
all right, that's good.
Yeah,
at least.
This was a made for TV movie in the 90s with Steve Guttenberg and Kirsten Dunst. And
shit.
yeah, so this is a young Dunst. And and Steve Guttenberg probably at like the tail end of his like I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, as he's starting to like drop out, he's still pretty relevant, but starting to not be as relevant. Yeah, it's just about it is like the story is exactly like what the ride is. Like there's this group of people that took the elevator at the Hollywood Tower of Terror in like the 40s or whatever, and they were transported to another dimension. And yeah, it's very much like a Disney Channel type of movie, and not really that good. But yeah, no, it's still like it's all on YouTube. It's not even on like Disney Plus or anything.
Oh, that's how you watched it?
Yeah, so
for free on YouTube.
Literally just on YouTube. Yeah. But I felt like it's worth mentioning because it's sort of a I don't know. I remember watching it as a kid and really liking it and really wanting to go on the ride after seeing it. And then I feel like it's not like talked about like ever and hard to find, which is why you have to watch it on YouTube. And so yeah, it's worth watching very, very casually. But yeah. You don't need to like really focus or pay attention on anything. There's like twists and they're really obvious. I think you're gonna see.
Yeah, it sounds like a fun one where like, because you're like the plot, like just seeing what their ideas were to build a plot around this thing, you know.
Yeah. How can we make a 90-minute movie out of this?
Like unnecessary story. Like what can we do with this? I kind of like that stuff.
Yeah. So yeah, it's I don't know if you like the ride. Even if you just like the ride.
If you like the ride, you might like the movie too.
Yeah. Yeah, that's Tower of Terror.
All right, so my next movie is actually a horror film because it's kind of bringing back the dead.
Ooh.
In with pre-existing characters that we love. And it is a 2021 movie that I did not go to the theaters for. I watched it on HBO Max. It is Alan Taylor and David Chase's Many Saints in Newark, The Sopranos prequel.
Yes. I've not seen this yet.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely not one like everyone's like rushing to go see, but I feel like there's those Sopranos like heads, the Sopranos like supporters who are probably went right away, you know, like I don't know, it's a certain demographic. I feel like I don't know, like a lot of like white older men probably saw it like right away. But I am a very religious Sopranos guy, so I think I made it a week before I was like, all right, just fucking watch The Many Saints in Newark already. So and like I mean it's pretty solid. I feel like it's getting like I think it's like got a mixed response. And like it doesn't give you like, oh my god, like this is why, you know, like it's not giving you that much of an explanation to the, you know, a huge explanation of the characters. I feel like part of The Sopranos too, like one of the beauties of it is not knowing their past as much, and like it just being implied that like Tony has like, you know, a fucked up family past and that's why he has so many problems now. I mean, like story wise, it's not even like super deep to me. It's just mainly kind of cool to see all these actors commit to playing like characters from the past. Like Vera Farmiga is like pretty good as Tony's mom. Yeah, and then John Berthal plays like Tony Soprano's dad. Um, and like then like Ala Alejandro Nivola, a guy who's acted all over the place, plays Dicky Moltisanti, and he is easily the most standout character in the standout role in this movie. And like Ray Liotta plays like two people in this movie, which is kind of fun to watch. Yeah, I mean, overall, I'd say the story doesn't go that far or deep. It's mostly if you're like really into this world, it's kind of just fun to step in again. And like it does give some good, character insight. And it's cool to see like Gandolfini's son play a young Tony, because he does do a good job, but he's not like, I don't know, there's not like any huge moments to me really that are that integral to they're like, I mean, this of course, like I didn't have super high expectations, so I don't think this was ever necessary to begin with, and you definitely won't like watch it and be like, oh, that was absolutely necessary. But I don't know, it's kind of just fun if you're a fan to just, it's like almost another episode except in the past, and you just keep on watching and you're like, oh wow, this is like, I don't know, really committed to like really being like, these characters that you've only heard of in passing while watching the show. Because I think like Dicky Moltisanti is like mentioned a lot with like Tony's guilt with like with Christopher, because he's always like, he's like, your father Dickie was a saint or something like that. He looked after me or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Nice. But yeah, I'm sure we'll get to that at some point. I guess
it's a fun one.
I think if it got better reviews and stuff, as much as I hate to say it, I think that's what would get me to get to it faster. But I for sure know I'll get to it eventually.
Yeah, it's just like that night where you're like looking to get into to watch Italian people again, and hear like old music playing and jazz and stuff, and like guys going like, how you do, yeah, hey, how you doing, like, yeah, like you're like, it's easy, it'll like please you just for that.
Well, nice, good to know. All right, you know what, for my next one, I'll go with a 2021 HBO Max movie as well. But I watched Dune yesterday, and I do have to admit, some people will be not happy with this, but I watched it at home rather than the theater, just because.
I was going to ask that.
Yeah, I went to the theater to see the new Bond last week, and then looking to go see Last Night in Soho and French Dispatch in the theater coming up too. So thought that if I could watch one of these at home, then I would. So I watched Dune, and I've got to say, I think watching it at home, I realized it definitely should be seen in the theater, but but at the same time, I still really, really loved it. And the horror aspect of it is that, holy shit, I'm kind of confused and lost at how dense this is. So that's how it scares me. But I even with that, I think I was maybe just like intimidated or scared. But I really think I was, for not having really, I don't know anything about the book. I haven't seen the David Lynch one. So I was trying to go in completely fresh and take it all in. And I think some of the backstory would have been helpful. But knowing that there's going to be a part 2, I'm not as worried about being a little bit confused with with I guess how it wraps things up. But yeah, no, I really loved it, and I thought it's just so like visually engaging. But I was also at the same time messing with the TV a little bit to try and make it look a little bit better.
Experience.
Yeah, because I do think that it didn't look at like nearly as good as it could have been in the theater. But yeah, I'll have another opportunity to see it in the theater.
Well, I'll tell you this. So I'll address both of those things. First, I have read the book and I have seen the David Lynch movie, and I don't know anything either. So like I don't think you're, and I think it's just a personal thing. Like I read the book and I bought like the whole Dune trilogy, which I kind of like. I feel like I'm going to give away maybe to like a friend, because I'm not like super into I wasn't super into the book. Like I could see why people are into it, but when I was reading it, I was like, this isn't totally my thing, you know, like on what I'm looking for when reading, that sort of thing. And now I have this big fucking Dune trilogy book, you know, and so then I watched the Lynch one, and of course I'm like lost during that too. But I think it's worth checking out because it's kind of goofy and like 80s and fun.
I want to see it. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so I recommend checking out for that. I still haven't seen the new one. So that's like just what I've done already in the Dune realm. Just because of this movie coming out, I was like, all right, I should just like do some research. I'll read the Dune book. There's a lot of like mythology to all this that I'm just not personally that interested in. That's just the main thing. But I can see why like people are really into it. But I am going to see this in IMAX sometime in the next week. That is my plan, because I haven't seen anything in IMAX in a while. And I'm sure that like, I don't know, that must be the way to watch this.
Yeah.
And I was also thinking about this because, say, if you're going to watch this on HBO Max, I'm pretty sure that they like reformat like whatever the cameras that are used, whatever format it's shot in, or meant to be like whatever format it's meant to be seen in a theater. I'm pretty sure HBO Max reformats it. They like probably formats it to make it like fit a TV screen or a tablet or whatever. So it takes away that like the wide, huge cinematic feeling that it has. Because I was watching, me and Antonio from our Inherent Vice episode, we're in LA trying to watch Tenet, and we started it, and immediately he was like, I can't watch this. And I was like, why? Well, why not? And you know, and he's like, because like they reformatted it so it's not the IMAX camera anymore. And especially in that, as you know, in the opening scene of Tenet, like the IMAX like is very prevalent to the whole experience. And I was like, wait, let's just give it a second. And I could see, like, you know how like there's that explosion right away, and then you kind of track. The camera kind of follows those guys with the guns as they go into the arena, and I could tell immediately that it wasn't as big, it wasn't as epic. And I was like, yep, I can't do this. Like, it's not the same. And I was like, that is fucked that they do that, because like people are gonna watch Tenet and they're gonna probably like miss out on that whole side of it, and they're gonna be like trying to do things like pay attention to the plot and the story, and they're gonna be like, this movie doesn't make any sense, this movie is shit. And I'm like, no, it's not, it's amazing,
give it a chance.
Like,
yeah
right, buy it on Blu-ray and watch it. And everyone's like, no, everyone's gonna be like, no, I don't buy it, I'm not buying it on Bluray. So
nobody buys Blu-rays anymore.
Yeah, I was kind of like disappointed in that aspect of it. So
yeah, I definitely think I need to see. I mean, after the movie was over, I was wanting to watch it again, because I enjoyed it and because I want to try and, um, yeah, take something new away from it, from seeing it a second time and having a better grasp. So I need to see it in theaters too.
yeah,
But
I mean, that to
I
me, it's
was,
like if you were to watch Blade Runner 2049 on a on a TV for the first time, like that was like a movie that you had to watch I haven't seen it since those theater experiences, but that was like a must like theater thing.
yeah, same thing. And I mean, I'm after seeing this just like right in the beginning, I was all for whatever anything Denis Villeneuve does. It's gonna like rope me into it, and yeah, and I found myself, I don't know if I could read a book about this, but I was finding myself getting into the the lore and the mythology and everything of this world right from the get go, which I think really also helped um, hook me into it. So yeah, I don't. Yeah, I'm interested to see what you'll think compared to the David Lynch one and the book too. Because I with this being my first, losing my Dune virginity to this, it was very like exhilarating, but also overwhelming.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm not sure like what I'm gonna think, because I'm just like not as into this source material as other people who are like really religious on it. So I'm not sure what I'm gonna think at all. I don't have any like I don't have any preconceived ideas. I'm just expecting it to be super cool looking, and then I'm just gonna like sit back and be like, yes, visuals and like. But I'll probably, I don't know, I expect to be somewhat like you, and I mean, I know about the arc of the protagonist already, so I know that. But other than that, I don't expect to know much more than you, and I'm perfectly at peace with that, because Dune has their followers, and I'm like, I'm fine with being like more mildly
Casual.
medium into casual. Like I just want to see it because it's big, it's big and it's gonna be cool probably. So, but I think there's also there are two camps, I think, of people who didn't like it and people who did.
Yeah.
So I'm interested on seeing where I fall.
Yeah. That's for sure
because
true.
I am no stranger to disliking movies that a bunch of people like. So we'll see. Yeah. I could have some random corals like, this movie's bad for society. I don't know. I don't know. All right, Dune. Cool.
Dune is done.
I want to talk about this one. You're going to be like, oh, wow, you decided to bring this one up. But like, I want to talk about it because it's funny. It's another horror movie called Bottle Shock. It actually sounds like a real horror movie when I say that name. But it's a horror movie called Bottle Shock with Alan Rickman, Chris Pine, and Bill Pullman. And
you're bringing this one up?
Yeah, exactly. It's about two
I've seen this cover.
Two wine vineyard owners in California, and it's like takes place in like the 70s or something like that. And it's like apparently at a time where French wine was king and American wine never stood a chance against French wine, like all the Bordeaux's and Burgundies of the world, John, that there are,
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden these two like hippie Napa Valley wine guys from California, they come up and they have this wine in a wine contest, and it ends up being like the wine of the year or whatever, this like pretentious French wine contest where Alan Rickman is like the head of it. And it's like a big I don't know, historical moment, I think, for California wine, because like the guys are like, wait, this wine is from California? What? Like it's not French, like that sort of thing. What's funny about it is like this was a trailer. I was like watching one of my like an old DVD, and like some random movie from the 2000s, and I was like, I'm just gonna watch all the 2000s trailers, and one of them was this movie, and I had never heard of it, and I was like, wow, this like sounds great, like because Alan Rickman in the trailer, he's just like tasting wines, and he's always kind of drunk too, because he's like a wine enthusiast. They're all like just kind of like mild, like subtly like wine drunk in this movie, because they're always drinking wine. And so Alan Rickman is just in a corner, like in the trailer, going like, these French wines, I mean, these California wines are so good. And like and that, yeah. And then so I was like, I want to see that. And I was like, but you never, it probably was one of those like where I didn't expect to actually watch that. But then I was hanging out with a couple friends, and we were going down the Amazon Prime like movies, and my friend's girlfriend was like, hey, I've wanted to see that when Bottle Shock came up, and I was like, oh my God, me too. And like, I was like, what are the odds that we both wanted to see Bottle Shock? So we put it on, and of course we like drank a little like wine during it, because it got us into it. We were like, oh, we should drink wine now, and we really didn't pay. It was one of those where like we really didn't pay attention that much. We like talked through it, but it ended up being like a good background just for like drinking wine and pretending we're like, oh yeah, we know about all the complexities of what we're drinking right now. Yeah, like that, kind of just playing around, that sort of thing. There's also there's like a great monologue where Bill Pullman's like, it's kind of during like a turning point where he's like, weed created an amazing Chardonnay with depth, and no one's gonna try it ever, or something like and it's like hilarious. It's just like a one-of-a-kind flick.
What a cast too. Bill Pullman, Alan Rickman. Yeah,
I recommend. I genuinely recommend it, John. Just because it's a random film to watch, and like, yeah, during a time where they would make a movie like this,
Hey, I'm pretty close to California wine country,
and you're
here,
in wine country, so yeah.
It's a necessary watch for me. Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's definitely one too. Like, it's less weird if you have a wife to watch it with. So like, it's more it's more fitting for you to watch it also.
Right. The next one I will do is Jason X, which is a movie I have heard a lot about but never seen until now. Yeah, Jason X. I'm what is there to say? I don't know about you, but I'm not a huge fan of like the Friday the 13th franchise, and by that I mean I've only seen the original.
I've kind of seen a good amount, not all of them. I'm not like, yeah, like my brother and my cousin have seen all of them, and they have those like box sets, and they've binged them all. And like I've seen maybe up to number 5 or number 6.
Oh wow, that's a good amount. Yeah,
they're fun. Yeah, like it's fun to see what they like do, because like I remember like the 3rd or 4th one has all these like stoner college kids. Like it's like borderline a stoner movie, because you're just kind of hanging out with these stupid college kids getting stoned until they get killed by Jason. And they're kind of like killed in a funny way. And I was just like, I can't believe this is actually a movie.
Okay, well, maybe I'll have to check that one out then. Yeah, I guess I have some ignorance to the franchise.
So which number is this one in it?
Good
Is
question.
X 10? Is that 10 or what? Or 5? What the hell is Jason X?
Jason X takes place in the year 2455. So
is it space Jason?
Yep, space
Oh
station.
Man, I'm jealous.
Yeah, so this is you've got to see this one. This one is crazy. I don't know if you've seen any of like the sci-fi, like the channel sci-fi original movies. They're always like stupid and ridiculous and terrible. And this I felt like is one of those, but with the Friday the 13th Jason Voorhees like license to use it. Basically Jason was frozen and his body has like preserved through 400 years, over 400 years, and Jason just goes crazy, goes apeshit on this crew. And this movie is just crazy ridiculous. I can't even like say so much about like all that happens. There's some actual like funny and like crazy killings that happens that are actually like admirable. Like I like that it went all out for this. And I also have to say it is the horniest movie I maybe have ever seen in my life. Like every single person in this movie is trying to fuck each other constantly, and it all like every single
because they're in space. It's all they have.
That's all they can do. It's just like every like piece of dialogue it's either trying not to get
sexual
killed,
innuendo,
or it's like, yeah, it's a sexual innuendo. Everything is like I would really hate to like do all this work without being able to like satisfy my massive erection right now. And then a girl would be like, well, maybe I can help you out with that. And it's like, it's all just so and it's in front of everybody too. It's just so blatant. It's like, hey boss, we're gonna go back to our quarters and have sex. And like, oh my god, is that all you guys do around here? And it's like, there's no professionalism at all. They're like researchers or something doing this work, but they're all just openly talking about fucking each other constantly. And
I think all the Friday the 13th movies to a degree are very horny because he has to like kill them while they're having sex. That's like almost every kill is done that way. So now that they're not at summer camp, I think which is supposed to be like a horny place, now they're in space and they're working, so they're like, they're like supposed to be bottled up and like horny from all the space work, and so they just want to like fuck each other, I guess. And Jason's just like here, and he's angry because all the people are there fucking in space, and he doesn't know where he is.
He doesn't get aroused by the act of sex. He gets aroused by the act of murdering people
while they're having sex. Yeah. He's like, if only there was someone killing them right now while they were doing it.
That would be so hot. Yeah. That would really get me going if they were being murdered.
Yeah.
While it was happening.
I mean, like Jason Voorhees is like such a like the Friday the 13th movies are less serious versions of the Halloween movies even. And I'd say like most of the Halloween sequels are very bad. Where'd you watch it?
Where was this? This was maybe HBO, Peacock. Yeah,
nice. That's where Halloween Kills was too.
Exactly. Yeah, and I just got Peacock Premium for the month just to watch Halloween Kills pretty much. But then there's been some other like Frankenstein was also on there. Jason X was on there.
Nice.
Yeah, so there's been some other good horrors to watch on Peacock this month. Yeah, that's Jason X.
Yeah, I've wanted to get to that Jason X for a while. All right, my next one will be a plain watch. I watched Beetlejuice on the way to LA.
Nice.
Yeah, never seen it before, and that was like kind of like the other Burton that I hadn't seen before, Edward Scissorhands. Um, I have been always kind of embarrassed that I haven't seen Beetlejuice. And yeah, Beetlejuice is just fucking awesome. Yeah, I thought it
Yeah,
was so
right.
good. Yeah, it's not only like really fun. It's not only funny as hell, but it has that awesome set design that clearly
So cool. Yeah.
it feels like set design ideas came first and then story second, that sort of deal.
Hmm.
Yeah, and then it not only had like genuinely scary moments, but it just had also like moments like um that just made me feel kind of, I don't know, filled with joy in a way a movie can, like such as like the end when like they're alive again and when Winona Ryder's like dancing to like, I don't know, they always play like reggae music or something like that, and like
Yeah.
really mainstream reggae music randomly, and then all the like, you know, like yeah, like Catherine O'Hara or whatever, will just like start singing to it
Singing. Yeah.
something like, yeah, and that's kind of part of the haunted nature of the house. It's just yeah, it's a thing you would never think of, like, but it just like works. That
Yeah.
just like when it just starts playing reggae music and all these white people start singing along to it. Yeah.
Yeah. And then like there's the great like Danny Elfman music
Yeah,
along with
yeah.
that. Like the music choices are so interesting.
Yeah, yeah, and
Yeah.
all these actors are so funny. Like at every step of the way, like Catherine O'Hara's like just ignorance to like as the new homeowner is like, she's so funny, and
Hmm.
I've wanted to see her in more shit other than Home Alone for like a long time, because because in Home Alone she's fucking like, you know, for a movie that's like arguably a three, Catherine O'Hara's in it, and you're just like, wow, the mom is so good in Home Alone. Like, well, yeah, and she's also, I mean, I've seen her in other things. She's in Orange County. She's in like Monster House, Chicken Little, Nightmare Before Christmas. She's in Scorsese's After Hours. So I've seen her in a fair amount of things. But this one specifically, I like, she was a real standout for me, and yeah, it's just,
Yeah.
yeah, Beetlejuice is just a great classic film that's a must see.
Yeah, you really forget about like the like this is a great comedic ensemble too, because like even Michael Keaton has a comedy type background, and then Catherine O'Hara was like a Second
Yeah,
City Canada person, and but this is like out of all her roles, this is where she's really using like that comedy background the most.
yeah,
And
for sure, yeah,
yeah, and like you said too, just the set design and the sort of the death worlds or whatever. I don't know if there's another name for it, but it's all just just so unique, and like uh the concept too of Beetlejuice having this like freelance job where he helps out this couple. It's yeah, I think that's
yeah,
so funny too.
yeah,
Um yeah, Beetlejuice is usually one I always watch in October, and I'll for sure watch that one too this weekend. But yeah,
yeah.
that's a great
It's kind
one.
of like a damn shame that I didn't grow up with it, because I feel I like it would be one that'd be so close. But you know, never too late, as they say. I can always watch Beetlejuice again now.
Definitely not. Yeah. All right, next one I'll go with is one I hadn't heard of before this year. Um, it's called Waxwork, and this is some random 80s Halloween movie on Amazon Prime, I think. And so Waxwork, it's directed by Anthony Hickox, who also has done some random horror movies like a Hellraiser sequel, um,
Mm.
some Warlock movie. Yeah, some like B, I'd probably call like B horror movies.
B horror, yeah.
Yeah. But this one actually stars a few people that I recognize from other 80s movies, like Zach Galligan. He's in like the Gremlins movies. And also Dana Ashbrook, who's in Twin Peaks, Bobby Briggs in Twin Peaks, and John Rhys Davies too, who he's like the big name. But anyway, Waxwork is about this like mysterious wax museum that is sort of pops up in this town, and these teenagers want to check it out, of course, and they meet like the owner of it, and he's this really creepy guy, and um, yeah, much like you can expect out of like the concept of a wax museum in a horror movie. Like I gotta say, this is actually a really really fun horror movie that I would sure recommend if you just want like a quick, easy to digest 80s schlocky type horror movie. It all comes to this great climax at the wax museum where it's like a huge battle between all these wax characters like throughout history, like these monsters fighting the people from the town, and it's a really really fun fight scene. It's definitely, it's not something that's super serious. It's pretty goofy, and yeah, just this like battle at the end between the people and these like wax characters, I think is really really fun. So yeah, I wish I could remember more like specific like scenes and everything, also without like giving too much away. But yeah, I really liked this lesser known 80s horror movie, Waxwork.
All right, so my next movie is a 2021 movie that is I saw in the theater. It was actually my first time in the theater for like a while, so it was a big deal. And like, so all the trailers when they came out, I was like, whoa, like I didn't know about this. It's like where I saw the Scream 5 trailer and all that.
Mm-hmm.
It's The Last Duel with Adam Driver, Ben Affleck, and Matt Damon, and it's also written by Ben Affleck, Matt Damon, and like Nicole Hofstetter or whatever her name is. She kind of wrote.
Yeah.
She wrote a bunch of indie films that are really good.
Wow, I didn't know those details about Ben Affleck, Matt Damon. Wow, that's crazy.
Well, and also it's like Ridley Scott back directing, like it's his first of like 2 movies, because he's got that other Adam Driver movie coming out, which looks pretty decent also. Like the trailer of House of Gucci gets me pretty hyped.
Yeah, wait a second. Yeah, he's got 2 massive movies coming out in like 3 months.
Well, and the Last Duel is like, it is one of those where like the story is the very like, that's the big focal point, but it also is very committed towards being a giant medieval setting. So there's some like crazy battle scenes, like where just to like be like, oh yeah, this is, we're in like a world of like battle and war and horror, and like that's what these guys are dealing with. But so like at the beginning of this movie kind of gives you like 3 perspectives of like a chain of events that occur, and it kind of took me a little to get into it, but once I realized what they're doing, I was like, oh shit, this movie's awesome. Like it's brilliant. But at the beginning I thought, I'm like, wow, we're watching like a corny, like medieval movie with like starring like Matt Damon and Adam Driver right now. I'm like, I just kind of thought it was like ridiculous. And it is ridiculous. Like it's ridiculous the whole way through. Cause like Ben Affleck plays like a king, like with blonde hair, and he's kind of like a piece of shit. And it's really fun. And it's pretty funny. And it takes a little getting used to, but like, I mean, not for Adam Driver, because I think he really, he fits into anything. But like Ben Affleck and Matt Damon go full like medieval voices and shit like that when you're kind of expecting them to be more like, no, do you like apples, like that sort of thing.
Yeah,
but they go full medieval and like had like their voices change completely, and it actually like works like really well. They're like really good in it. And it kind of revolves around just these three men and this one woman who's married to Matt Damon. And kind of how they're all like exploiting her. It ends up being like a very pro-women movie in a very not pro-women time, and gives her perspective on just, I don't know, from her perspective on kind of how shitty she has it back then. And it just kind of it plays off of like just showing different perspectives and how that complicates things, and also how skewed male perception would be back then, you know. And I forget the girl who plays the female is played by her name's Jodie Comer, and she's very good in it. It's just kind of Adam Driver, Ben Affleck, and Matt Damon all kind of being really shitty to this one woman and all women in it. And so it's very modern in that sense for something that otherwise really would not be, because it's a fucking another medieval movie. But it was actually something very fresh and very good, and I'm really happy that it exists, because it doesn't only have like a lot to say and like is good for the world, but it's just like a good kind of goofy time also on top of it. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah.
So highly recommend going to see that. Yeah.
Should we talk about Halloween Kills?
Yes, we should.
Let's do it.
I don't know if I've mentioned this probably before, but you maybe forgot that I went to grade school with the star of Halloween. Well, the co-star of Halloween Kills, Jamie Lee's like granddaughter, who, spoilers, now Michael Myers has killed both of her whole family in these movies. So they're basically setting it up in the third one. She's even going to be like more traumatized by all this shit. Yeah, but I went to grade school with her. She was like a St. Jameser up to like 6th or 7th grade, and now she's now she's in these like, she's part of like the reboot of this pre-existing property of like one of that's trying to follow up one of my favorite movies ever. So it's pretty wild to watch.
Dang, that is crazy. Yeah, I'm on her Wikipedia now. She ended up going to St. Francis for high school. Wow.
Yeah. So she was around. Yeah.
Interesting. That's crazy. Wow. So
so I was watching this with like a buddy of mine who also went to like school with her. So we were like, oh yeah, like there she is. Like, I'm gonna check her out in this new movie on Peacock. What a world we're living in now. Yeah.
Wow, that is that's cool. I mean, I don't think,
but it's too bad for her at the same time, because this movie was not good, and I could tell from scene one that this movie was not going to be good, which is not a good sign. It's not a good sign. I just said not good a lot, but that does reflect everything to what this is.
Yeah, that's really a shame, because I was excited to see this, but
it was like scene one. I knew, I was like, this is in it already. I could tell this is like a shit show. Like, this is going to be awful. Like, scene one, this is not even working for me yet.
Yeah, I don't know if I ever really got much into it. And I also really got annoyed by a lot of the characters in this too, including Anthony Michael Hall, who I just found so annoying.
Well, during like the riot stuff, me and my friend were kind of joking. We're like, are they making like a point about like America and riots and stuff? And we're like, no, they're not. they even if they're like trying to, there's not a point they're making, Well,
there's an interview with Jamie Lee Curtis leading up to this where she was like, a lot of I love Jamie Lee Curtis, but in this interview she was like, and there's a lot, the movie ties a lot into our nation's
what's going on,
what we're going on now, like
right.
the Black Lives Matter. And it's like, just because you have a protest going on, it doesn't mean it relates to the Black Lives Matter movement. Or
yeah, your protest can't be bad.
Yeah,
like,
yeah, no, this is a shitty thing.
Oh my god! And she even said Black Lives Matter. Oh my god! I was thinking more so like
she did
the like the Trump, like the Trumpers who charged the Capitol, that sort of thing. That's kind of what. But it still doesn't even really go with. It doesn't even go with that well to me. But yeah, Black Lives Matter is like no.
They were trying to murder an innocent guy.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't like Joker level where I was like, where when the movie tried to have a message, I was like sick to my stomach or anything. It was just kind of like more so, this is just not good, like this, but it was also kind of fun to watch. I was like, they're really chasing this guy off this guy's gonna kill himself now after like, because he's got this mob after him. I'm like, wow, these people are all these people are all morons.
I think that's what I found annoying too, is just all the people just sucked. And
like, you guys are all so stupid.
There's like no reason to care for much of anyone either, besides just knowing the obvious backstory about Jamie Lee Curtis and her family. But there's just like that random couple from the beginning who are at like the talent show or whatever. It's just like, what is, why are we following them so much? What is, I don't know.
I mean, it is like an interesting idea if executed right. Like, it does make sense. It's like in every Halloween movie, you could be like, all right, there's one of him and there's all of you people. If you just like work together, you could get him. But I don't know. They didn't do it right to me.
I really couldn't believe that towards the end too, when they have like that showdown where Judy Greer like lures him into the mob, and it's just, that seems so ridiculous too. Just people bringing whatever sort of weapon they could bring, like it's like they're trying to take down Shrek in his swamp. I will say
that was one of the only scenes where I actually was like engaged, kind of. I was like, whoa.
I do like that. There's like then that monologue from Jamie Lee Curtis where she's talking about how, it's like each person he kills, he grows like stronger, like going more into like the mythos of Michael Myers, rather than just like, he's just like a normal guy who's just like got all this like shit that happened when he was younger. Like he's that he's like, what is like supernatural, that he just like survives all this, that he's not human.
I feel like both the story and a film are just two separate but same messes that could have been avoided, such as like the film could have just easily not been made, and then like Judy Greer at the end like walks into his house because she thinks he's dead, and she thinks they have him surrounded. Then he like gets up and just murders the whole mob. And then he comes back and kills her, and it's just like, what a whole mess that could have been avoided.
Really.
And also it like was one of my least favorite Halloween sequels I've ever seen. And I've seen one like there's a Halloween called like Halloween Resurrection where like Lil Jon is in it, and he's literally like fighting like Michael Myers while it's all being broadcasted on a webcam, because that was like a cool, like a hip technology trendy at the time. And Lil Jon's just like at the end, he's literally like, come on motherfucker, then he like kicks him, and he keeps kicking Michael. I've seen like movie Halloweens like that, but Halloween Kills was like another level of just bad to me, for a Halloween movie that really for like a property that technically really has one good one, one definitive, really good one.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's the original is just like so great and just like highly regarded by everyone, but then
Yeah,
everything else after it just loses that loses what made it good in the first place.
Well, and these David Gordon Green ones too are also really trying to follow up that first one, because all of the like dialogue in it is like trying to like, they're just restating the plot of the first one. It's like, when he killed that one guy, this happened, and then blah blah blah. Like, they even mentioned like Ben Tramer from the first one, because remember, she's talking at one point, Jamie Lee's talking to like Bill like Pullman or whatever that guy's name, the guy from what's that guy's name? Will Patton. Will Patton.
Yes. Yeah.
The guy from like Remember the Titans and all these other movies. She's like talking to him, and apparently he went to high school with her, and he goes like, I always thought you had a crush on Ben Tramer. That's why I never talked to you. And I'm like, are we really bringing up like Ben Tramer from the first Halloween? Like, the guy who's not even in the first Halloween is just a guy she supposedly had a crush on.
And that, it's just like an sort of a weird callback to a meaningless anecdote of. Yeah.
Well, they're all like, every callback is weird. Every callback is weird.
It's so funny, like random things that just like were repeated constantly throughout it, like evil dies tonight, dies tonight. Like, it's just like seems so dumb and
well, and then you're like, who's gonna, all right, so after evil dies, who's gonna kill all the crazy that's now here surrounding this town? Like, everyone's gone insane. I mean,
everyone, for real, everyone is like in the town is like psychologically messed up, and how are they going to deal with that trauma years down the road?
Well, and there's clearly going to be a third one, so
they even,
because it ends on a cliffhanger.
Come out next year. Like, I thought they already announced it for 2022.
Wow.
Which means they must already be in the middle of shooting, or they must. But I mean, I feel like it's made a ton of money.
Halloween ends. It's already slated, and for 2022, it's got David Gordon Green coming back, and everyone. And also, I was going to mention Nick Castle, the original, like, Michael Myers, the Shape guy, has been playing him through, because they're really trying to call back, like they need Nick Castle from the original, who was like, it makes a difference. I think he was supposed to be like another position on the original Halloween, like a set designer or something, and then they liked the way he looked, so they got him to play, like, he ended up playing the Shape by accident in the original one. So it's really not, it doesn't matter. I mean, it's cool that they're trying to bring fandom to the original one, but they're making such bad ones right now that it's kind of like, stop. Like, I know Carpenter's producing, but how much producing is he really doing?
But
I don't think he's related to any of the others necessarily, except for these. Like, just because they were like, oh, we're trying to pay homage to your original movie, so we got to have you on board, that sort of thing. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I guess I think it's making a ton of money, so they'll make the one next year, and I'm sure we'll both watch it.
We'll talk about it then. Yeah.
A lot of other people see it
I hope it's a little better. I mean, I hate to see Jamie Lee Curtis doing this.